Alright, so after almost a week and a half of waiting, we finally have issues 1 and 2 of the R2-D2 build. So, let's get started. Alright, so this is issue 1. We'll just kind of take a brief look at the magazine that it comes with. If you want to read it, you can pause it. It's got all kinds of information in here if you want to look at it. Got some information about George Lucas, R2-D2 himself, some more R2-D2. Then you've got information about LEDs. And then we've got the build itself. So I'll move that to the side. And then this is what we got. Alright, let's open up this pack. Actually. Alright, now we're going to open the first issue. You don't have to worry about keeping the cardboard. That's not really important. But if you want to keep your things organized, keep the double plastic because your parts will fit nicely back into their spots. That can be a blooper later. Alright, so looks like all we're doing for this issue is assembling the processor state indicator. So you're going to have this little tiny wire harness type deal. You're going to have this little plastic type deal. Oh yeah. Alright, so the processor state indicator is basically this one. That main light that you always see when he's doing things. It's this one right here. And it's basically like orange. I think it's got blue and red LEDs in it. So it can be like orange, or it can be blue, or it can be red. Show emotions usually. Yeah. Shows when he's excited or angry or processing. Okay, so this is the little LED here. And actually, so that I can show you the scale of these parts, because in my personal experience, these pieces look a lot bigger than they actually are. So the little housing for the plastic is 27.7 millimeters. So you've got that, and that in inches is 1.8. I know it's going to be upside down, but you know. And the little LED is just under an inch, 0.93. And for millimeters, 23.7. So that's just to give you some scale. Alright, so all we're going to do is we're going to take this, put it into this. It can only go in one way because there's a connector on the back, and it's going to fit right into a hole in the plastic where the connector is. And we have two sets of screws in here. They're not labeled at all. You have silver screws and you have black screws. The black screws are the ones you're going to use because those are self-tapping screws for plastic. So keep up with these because you will need them in the next issue. And you also get a screwdriver if you don't have one. I think it's a magnetic tip, maybe. But all you're going to do is you're going to open the screws. Again, be careful to keep up with these because you will need them. In fact, most of this build, you're going to get screws that you may not use for several issues later. So you're going to have to keep up with screws for several weeks. You can get these little Ziploc bags on Amazon, or you can get them at Dollar General in the craft section for like, I don't remember how much they were, but they're pretty cheap for like, how many does it say is on there? For 100 of them, for a couple bucks. Not very expensive. You can use that, or you can use a pill organizer, whichever you feel comfortable with. Either way, you have to keep up with these screws because otherwise you have to find more somehow. Whether that be ordering it from Fanhome or going and finding your own screws. Okay, so this is a magnetic tip screw, and you're just going to take the screws and put them in the holes to hold the LED in place. And these are self-tapping, so they're going to find their own threads. They're going to make their own threads, not find them. But it's going to take 3 of these black ones. You just put them in the 3 holes. And it's pretty soft plastic, so you don't really have to fight with it. Once it's in, it's in. You don't have to tighten it any further. It's just going to go right in. And that's it. Alright, and then the only thing left to do, according to the book, is plugging the cable in. So you're going to have a small end and a bigger end. You're going to plug the smaller end into the back of the LED. And it only goes in one way. Alright. And literally that is it for issue 1. That's complete. So, again, like I said, you want to keep up with these screws. So, You can actually keep them in this little baggie that it comes with and then put it in the Ziploc bag, whichever you prefer. But like I mentioned before, they're not labeled. But in this case, we're actually going to keep these out because we're going to use them in just a minute on the second issue. So issue 1 is complete. Here, set that over there somewhere. Somewhere safe. I just looked over. That's fine too. Alright, and then you're going to take this and keep it safe. And just set it to the side because I think we might be using some of this again in just a minute. I'm not sure. So, like I said, issue 1, we just built the LED status indicator. And now we're on issue 2. So, let's see here. Again, there's some more information in here. It talks about the behind the scenes of the BB-8 droid and how it's puppeted across the desert. Get a little information about C-3PO. And you get some information about integrated circuits, which is pretty cool. Alright, and now we get to R2-D2's right leg, which is in issue number 2. So, remember how I said keep issue number 1 pretty close? That's because we're going to need this piece right here. Looks like that's the only piece we need out of here. And if you want, you can do this the way that I'm going to do it. Keep your Fanhome packages. You don't have to keep every single one, but keep some of them. And you can keep your assembled parts in the package. Okay, so we're going to have this piece here. I'm going to set that to the side. And then we're going to get issue 2. And we're going to open it. Alright, and just a heads up, it doesn't include any, but get yourself some super glue. You can get it just about anywhere for almost nothing. So, they recommend you use some super glue for some of these parts just to keep them together. We just dropped some screws, so bear with me. Alright.
There you go.
Now that we're over that conundrum. I wouldn't even put that in there. Let's see. Okay. All right. Alright, so it looks like the first two pieces that we're going to start with are these little lubrication fittings. They look like that. And they're keyed, so they only go in the plastic one way. So what you do is you're going to take it and fit it into the key. Hold it in place with the finger. Then you're going to grab one of these silver screws. And you're going to screw that into place. Alright, and when you're done, it should look like that. And then you're going to repeat it for the second one here. So you grab the lubrication fitting out of the box. Stick that in there. Grab another silver screw. And if you want to keep it in place, you can try twisting it a couple threads just to get it started. Just to keep it in place. And then screw it down nice and tight. And you don't need any oil for these screws. The threads are really smooth. Alright, and that is one side done. And these parts are metal, so alright, looks like the next one we're going to do is the stabilizer. And it's going to go in there just like that. So you'll put it in there, hold it in place, and it's going to take 2 silver screws. And they're just labeled in the book as fixing screws. Then you just screw that into place. Nice and tight. And we're going to get one more screw. Alright, now we're going to put this last screw into this part. done, it should look like that. And take note of the orientation. That's how it is in the book. And if you've made it this far, you should have 2 more silver screws left. And we're about to use that. Okay, and we're going to be gluing a little bit of this right here. There's this little cap, and you're just going to glue it into here. So let's get just a little bit of glue. Just use a piece of plastic or something. And you can use something like this, a little screwdriver. And you only need a little bit, so. Alright, so you're going to take some glue and put it into the hole where that little cap goes into. You can also put a little bit outside of the hole for the cap to sit onto. And that's really all you need. It doesn't take a lot because this is just to temporarily hold it until you get another piece in the future. Just kind of holds it in place once you glue it, or once you screw it down. Alright, and then you've got this piece, and you got this piece and this piece. This piece has to be glued onto here, and it only goes on one way. So just get a little bit of glue. You just need enough to kind of help keep it in place. And then you just join them together. Alright? And then you're going to take this little square piece and slide it onto here. And you'll also need a little bit of glue for that too. So just take a little bit more glue, put it in the slot. Gotta love the smell of super glue. Alright, once you've got your glue on there, just slide the box onto here and just let it let it sit to the side for a few minutes, and you're going to be putting that on here just like that. So we'll let it sit to the side for a minute. Alright. So basically you're going to take this and those last two screws, and you're going to fix it into place. And then after that, because you've glued everything in, you need to keep this part safe until a later issue where you'll get a blue piece of plastic that'll kind of cover this and keep it from falling apart, I guess. Alright, and when that's complete, it should look like that. And like I said before, there will be a blue piece of plastic that'll go along this and kind of cover this part. But it looks like that is it for issue 2. It does say to kind of just put these pieces together. They don't give you any more screws to screw it in place. It just kind of says to press it together temporarily. So yeah, everything complete should look like that. And that's the end of issue 2. Yeah, go ahead and hit the button. Alright, so we've gone through issue 1 and issue 2. Issue 1, we've built this LED status indicator. And in issue 2, we just put some details on R2's right leg. We've got these 2 lubrication fittings, stabilizer, and whatever that was called. We can always go back in the book later and see, but yeah. So what you'll want to do is you want to keep this whole piece safe, well, and this too. Obviously you want to keep them both safe so they don't go missing. But especially this one, because these are only super glued in place, so any sudden bump could just make it fall apart, and later on you'll get a blue piece of plastic that'll surround this and kind of hold this in place. But yeah, so that is the Fanhome R2-D2 droid. Issue 1 and 2. And there's another close-up of R2, and that is the actual model that you'll be building. That's not a Disney version of R2, even though it is officially licensed. But anyhow, stay tuned for the next issue. Should be issue number 3. And I don't know if it's going to come as another double issue or if it's just going to be issue 3. So just stay tuned, subscribe, leave a comment, and if you want to support me on Patreon, that'll be in the description as well. So yeah, see you next time.